நினைக்கிறேன். அங்கேயே வந்து கனெக்ட் பண்ணணும்.
Yes, sir, how are you?
Hello, sir. Hi. Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening.
How are you, sir? How are you keeping?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, sir. So we'll start shortly. So we got a little bit delayed because there was some technical glitches which were there, so we had to iron them out. So finally we got over it, and yeah.
So that's fine. Not an issue.
Thank
All
you.
these things happen.
All right, sir. Sir, do you have a PowerPoint?
Yeah.
All right, sir. Can we just try sharing? There's an icon down which shows share screen, the green one. So
Is it visible?
yeah, looks fine, sir. It is. You can try the looks good, sir. Looks good.
Okay. Now you have finished it.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah. So sounds good, sir. Now you can unshare probably.
171. 1771. 1771. 7165. No, please. 7165. No, Benjamin. Okay.
I'll take off my coat to look a little less formal.
No, sir, as you wish. Anything is
It's
fine.
cold.
You
It's
look
cold.
dapper.
It's cold
You
here.
look dapper, sir. I think it should stay this way.
Thank you.
Sir, we have our director with us. He would like to say hi to you.
Hi, thank you so
Good
much.
evening, sir.
Our
Good evening,
pleasure,
sir.
our pleasure to have you on board, Clarence. So we look forward to your talk. Thank you very, very much. My bhaiya is sitting on that side, Anup, waiting to introduce you.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Number 82. Sorry, 83. 1771. 1771. 7165. Yeah. End it. 123 Gmail. 123 Gmail. Shahara വന്നിട്ട് plan list ആക്കി.
That's perfect. Yeah. So, sir, you just have to move the cursor to this. Once more.
Okay.
And if you want to stop your video, yes.
Okay.
Start your video there.
Okay.
It's all your video, sir.
Okay.
But then one of us will come and help you. Sir has just gone for a moment somewhere.
This is idiot group. Yeah. Okay.
Nobody will be here, sir. Probably you can take off your mask.
Yeah.
You're okay with it. And if we have it.
Yes.
You're not too worried, you can take it. But nobody else will come.
Okay. Thank you.
So probably when I hand over to you.
Hi, sir.
Yeah.
How are you?
It's good to see you. How are you?
Good to see you too, sir.
Oh, lovely. Lovely, lovely. Good. So how are things with you?
Okay, by God's grace, sir.
Good, good, good. And how are things in CMC generally? Wow.
Dealing with COVID,
Yeah,
another thing, but going on okay.
that's right. And what about the department? How many PGs do we have? What about
So
the
this year we
staff?
have totally, last year we didn't get PGs, but this year we have 2 PGs.
Okay.
Actually, all of Punjab did not, no one took community medicine last year.
Yeah. Yes, that is a problem. And what about the staff? Who all are there? Any new ones? Shivendra is there.
Sir's
And,
there, yes.
and
Everyone's
who
there
else?
except
Avneet.
Avneet is there.
Avneet is there. And Deepshika?
Deepshika is there.
Deepshika is there.
Navish and Gurshan have joined as faculty.
Okay. Gurshan Gill.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And who else?
Navish David.
Navish David. Okay, Navish David.
Navish was Ira's
Okay.
Ira's brother, 2005, 4 batch. He's 2004 batch.
Yeah. All right. So that's good to hear. Sir? Yeah. Good, good. Lovely to have you with us here.
Well, Jacob is busy sending,
Yes.
contacting people and getting them
Yes,
to.
that is right.
That's right, sir. That's right, sir. I'm just trying to send away last minute invites. Reminder invites. So
So,
Where are you from, sir? Which is your native, sir?
Uh, that's an interesting
UP.
question. My mother was born in Talisheri.
Okay.
My father is from Trivandrum.
Oh,
But my mother's family is basically Bombay and Pune based. So
okay.
I don't know any. I just know they became Christian and they were sort of ostracized from Talisheri.
Oh,
So we sort of know that some illam is there. We don't know which. No one's ever been there. None of my uncles have ever been there.
all
Even
right, sir.
my mother's grandparents, I mean my mother's uncles, that is my grand uncles and they've never been to that illam.
Oh, all right.
So they were Nambudris who became Christian.
Oh,
So that is all we know. We
wonderful.
don't know anything more than that. So
So
if
you
you say, no, which is your village? No, we don't know that part.
You
So
were
you
born
can't
and brought
really-
up in Mumbai, sir?
Yes, my mother's family is more or less Bombay and Pune based.
Okay.
And yeah, my grandfather was born in Bombay. From my mother's father was
Okay.
Bombay based, and we have around 400 plus relatives in Bombay and Pune. We don't know about
Oh,
big families, big families.
okay, okay. Very nice, sir. Very nice to hear that.
okay.
If you say where are my roots, you can't tell. No, it is.
I mean, I thought it was a very straightforward question.
Give my regards to everyone that I know in the department.
Will do, sir.
Yeah, I remember. Very fond.
We have quite a few things going on in the department, sir.
Ah,
We're very involved with the district and with the state with regards
that's very
to
good. That's very
So
good.
doing the analysis for the district and the state.
Hmm.
We get their data, gold mine.
Okay.
And
All right.
we're doing projections and other things. So we get quite a bit. We've also set up a few models which have been replicated through the state right now. Something
Good.
called the community ownership model.
Hmm.
So that is now in all the districts in the state. We had piloted it in Khanna.
Ah,
That's now adopted by the government of Punjab for
good.
COVID.
Good, good, good.
Basically, there was a lot of resistance with the lockdown. Someone's chopped off a policeman's arm and all those
Yeah,
things.
yeah, I saw that. Yes.
So, and
That
then
is right.
people were not, there was a lot of stigma. So, to address stigma and mask wearing and others, mainly
Yes.
to address stigma,
Yes.
people were actually threatening to beat up the ashas, and they actually in langars and other. It was quite a bad scene.
Oh,
So
oh.
this did make a difference, and plus the government also realized, because we were giving feedback on what we're getting from the ground. Though they had their sources, we are private. We don't have any acts. We don't have an agenda. We're just telling
Yes.
what we see.
Hmm.
So that is where we had we have a good relationship with both the district and the state.
That's very good.
So every month or mid-month, we have a telecon with the state, telling what is happening, what are our projections, because we get the data. We work on two sets of data. We get the data from the district, and we also have the official media reports, which we
Okay.
use. So we sort of look at and we point out areas and hotspots, and so that's good. We've been
Who's the director of health services? Punjab? DHS?
so more than DHS, we are actually working with Dr. Rajesh. Dr. Rajesh Kumar PGI.
Rajay,
ED.
okay, Rajesh Kumar.
Executive director. He is retired from there.
Yeah.
So he's now the executive director for NHM Punjab.
All right.
So
That's
with
good.
him, we have a good. So with him, he's been able to get all the medical colleges on board. So all the medical colleges, government and private.
Yes, he would. He's that kind of a go-getter. Rajesh Kumar. Eh?
So how are you, sir?
I'm all right. Well, thank you.
How is your
By God's
sugars?
grace, getting on well. My father is here with me. He's 98 years old now. And
Wow.
so I can't take him here, there, everywhere. So I'm sort of rooted here.
He's still walking around?
Yes, he's
Wow.
walking around in the house with
Okay.
great difficulty here. And my
So
younger
you
one,
are free. You're free of the cold of North India.
yes, yes, that is a
I know you
great,
doing your scarf and your cap and
yes, yes. That extreme cold and the extreme heat of the north. Yeah. Here the weather stays cool all the time, except for a couple of months when there is a lot of humidity. Yeah.
it's looking good on you. The weather's looking good on you.
So are you. You are looking very distinguished now.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Well, good. Yeah.
So we can start.
Okay. It is. So I'm sure we are in for a very interesting discussion.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this webinar at Believers Church Medical College and Hospital. Well, we are in the middle of a pandemic. And whenever we visit the Worldometer website, every day you see lives falling down like twigs. But well, are we aware of lifestyle diseases claiming lives every day? Yes, that is very much a fact. And so we have with us a lifestyle medicine consultant to talk on how we can add years to life. So let us welcome Dr. Clarence J. Samuel, Professor and Head of Community Medicine at CMC Ludhiana and Vice Principal to our midst. Sir has done his MBBS and MD Community Medicine from CMC Ludhiana and the prestigious CMC Vellore respectively, and went on to do his PG Diploma in Bioethics from the National Institute of Epidemiology, IGNOR. He is a FAMA Fellow of 2017 and also has completed his Diploma International Board of Lifestyle Medicine. So it's none other than him who can throw us the best light as to how lifestyle plays a central role in preventing the most preventable diseases. He's a member of Institutional Ethics Committee at CMC Ludhiana and District Technical Committee for COVID-19 of District Ludhiana. And he has previously been the head of the Department of Rural Health Outreach Programs and also member of Board of Undergraduate Studies. So it's a great privilege to have him with us. Welcome, Clarence, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
To moderate the session, we have none other than the Professor and Head of Community Medicine of Believers Church Medical College and Hospital, Dr. Anup Benjamin, sir. He's an international practitioner, member of the Faculty of Public Health, UK, and former head of the Department of Community Medicine at CMC Ludhiana. He has guided numerous MPH, PhD, and MD students and has been an external examiner for umpteen number of exams. He's also been a visiting fellow and course coordinator at Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine and has completed his MPH from Leeds, UK. So a distinguished luminary in the field of community medicine, it's a great privilege to have him to moderate this session. Welcome, Anup sir. So to moderate this session and take things further, let me hand over to Dr. Anup Benjamin, even as he takes this session. Over to you, Dr. Anup sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yesudan, for those very kind words. And a very good evening to all who have joined this webinar this evening. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Believers Church Medical College and Hospital. And we are privileged and honored to have Dr. Clarence Samuel with us to talk about a very important subject, a subject that has been out of focus for some time, ever since we had this problem of COVID. Because what we noticed was that because of this focus on COVID, which was the need of the hour, of course, many people who were suffering from lifestyle diseases like cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, diabetes, they could not get the care that they required. And so it has always been important, but this time this experience has underscored the need for for lifestyle alteration to be able to prevent and control these lifestyle diseases. These diseases they are of extreme importance because of their high prevalence, and India is a country that has a huge load of these lifestyle diseases, many of which can be controlled or mitigated, let me say, by lifestyle alteration. But we have an expert to talk and tell us more about this aspect of lifestyle modification in Dr. Clarence. And now I invite Dr. Clarence to enlighten us more on this very important topic. Dr. Clarence.
Thank you, sir. It's a privilege to be talking to you all the way from cold Ludhiana. It's 19 degrees. We're wearing sweaters, and it's a beautiful evening, but it's also a time when we can actually look at something which we are not so familiar with. When we talk of lifestyle medicine, what exactly is lifestyle medicine? So is it just, food and exercise, or is there more to it? Can you look at changes in your lifestyle, which will bring about oops, let me just get my PowerPoints ready. Can we look at lifestyle, which will be more than that, or is there something else that lifestyle medicine can do? Can it reverse diseases? Can it stop diseases in their track? Is it similar to curative medicine, or do we need more evidence to show that lifestyle medicine works, especially for diabetes, hypertension, and some of the problems that we are actually looking at? So I'll just start off by wishing you all good health, and health in its fullness. That's what Jesus promised us that he'd come and give us life in abundance. I have nothing to declare with this presentation. I'm doing a couple of clinical trials, but there is no conflict with this presentation. Every 33 seconds, an Indian dies due to heart attack. And by the time we finish this, we would have had a lot more people who have added to this statistic. In 2013, in JAMA, they had shown a prevalence study of conditions from 1990 to 2010. And it showed that the main diseases that had progressed were heart disease, COPD, back pain, and all the other NCDs. In 2006, the global burden of, in 2010, the global burden of diseases was published, which looked at what would be the top ranking diseases in 2030. That's, we're right there in the middle of it. And and again, all NCDs topped it, with number one being mental health and ischemic heart disease, cerebrovascular disease, road traffic accidents being among the top and most important conditions, or which eat into the Dallies in 2030. Punjab and Kerala are very similar, very high per capita income, but their problems also are similar. But we also have, we share this bad history of having very high diabetics in our population, a large number of depression. Punjab, I think, is the fattest state in the country. We have 40% obesity, which was reported in 2015. What the latest rates are, we need to look at that. Okay. We have a very high prevalence of cancer. Though they say the incidence is not as much, the prevalence is equal to the national average. But yes, we do have a high prevalence. In fact, we have certain areas which are known as cancer belt. In certain areas of the state, we have very high prevalence of hepatitis C. In Amritsar and other states, other districts, we have around 95, among the drug addicts, we have 95% hepatitis C. Even in certain non-IVDUs, we had done a few studies in 13, 14-year-olds in schools, and we found that nearly 50% of them had at least one cardiovascular risk factor, one high risk factor. 1/3 of them nearly had one coronary artery disease risk factor. 73% of the 8th and 9th standard students had very low physical activity. In fact, there was very high consumption of junk food. Healthy food was non-existent almost. And the shocking detail was nearly 20% of them had undiagnosed hypertension. For their age, their blood pressures were much higher than any of the standards of it. You look at the distribution of all these risk factors in the WHO regions, and you see that it's increasing in CRO and other parts of, if you look at globally also. Now, the biggest cause of worry is all these NCDs have the highest burden in middle and low income nations. Now, that is where we are. So if we look at what is this non-communicable disease paradigm, we have diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, cancer, mental health. But what causes them? Physiological changes, elevated blood sugars, cholesterols, high blood pressure, and obesity. But what is it that actually causes them? You go into something called social epidemiology. We'll come that to a totally different talk, but just let's look at this. Unhealthy diet, physical inactivity, smoking, stress, poor sleep hygiene. In fact, they say modern civilization sacrifices sleep for success. So the global burden of disease said the real killers are not these, but rather the environment, behaviors, and nutrition factors that will cause the NCDs. It's not just the NCDs, it is but the social factors that cause NCDs. Okay, so what is lifestyle medicine? Lifestyle medicine is the therapeutic use of lifestyle, such as predominantly a whole food, plant-based diet, exercise, stress management, tobacco and alcohol cessation, and other non-drug modalities to prevent, treat, and reverse lifestyle-related chronic diseases. Now, this is where, lifestyle medicine has a lot of people saying, no, 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 can you reverse? So prevent, yes, everyone agrees. Treat, yes, agrees. But can we reverse some of the NCDs that we come in contact with? So we'll just look at it a little further. Okay. A story can change your life. So I'm just going to tell you the story, which is from the New York Times. The link is there. Stomati Moriarty was a young man who, at the end of World War II, found himself in New York. He had an injury in his arm, needed treatment, and he was in New York. And, well, he made it. Life was good. He got married. To another beautiful Greek lady over there. They had children, and life was good. In the mid 1970s, when he was in his late 60s, he had breathlessness on climbing stairs, and it had become so bad that he went to a doctor, and he was given the diagnosis of a lung cancer. And he didn't like this doctor, so he went to another doctor, and he went like this to 8 doctors, and all of them told him that he had advanced lung cancer, and he had at the most 8 to 9 months more to live. Now, he had to make a decision whether, he knew that death was inevitable. So what was he going to do? He could go in for aggressive treatment, chemotherapies, and all those things that were recommended over there. He said no. Then he said, okay, if I die in New York, or if I die in the United States, just for a funeral, it would cost thousands of dollars. While it would cost me $200 if I go and die and be buried with my ancestors, go to my island of Icaria. And, less than $200, I would see everyone, and I would have the privilege of being buried with my ancestors in these, in the graveyard, which, will bring me peace. So he and his wife got the next mode of transport to Greece. And there he was. His aged parents were looking after him. His wife was there. And when Moriarty's friends knew that he was back on the island, they all dropped in to visit him. And Moriarty was there sick and began to chat and talk and interact with his people. And he was counting his days. A few months later, he felt a little bit better. And he started sitting out in the sun with the others and said, why don't I plant a garden? So he planted a garden, says, I may not be around to enjoy the vegetables, but it may be a gift for my wife, so she may like it. So he worked a little bit more in the garden, and he began to feel a little bit more energy. Then he started going back to church. So he would climb up the hill to the old Greek Orthodox church over there and come back. Then he said, okay, I'm feeling much better. Let me start working in my vineyard. And his vineyard was up on the hillside, and he continued to work on his vineyard. And his friends were there, and everyone was there, and he was having a great time. Then he realized, oh no, I am supposed to be dead. Why am I still alive? And it's 20 years since they told me I was supposed to be dead. So let me just go find out what happened. So then he goes back to New York to find out, why did he survive? What happened for him to survive? And he went around to search for his doctors. And all the doctors who told him that he would be dead in 9 months were dead. What happened to Moriarty? So when Dan Butler came to this island of Icaria, he came and met Moriarty, and at this time Moriarty said he was 102 years old, and he had outlived his doctors, and much of his circle were also equally healthy, fit, and as old as they were. They were all of them in their late 90s and hundreds. Early 100, had just crossed into the centenarians. So Dan Butler had started off his study on the centenarian. So what is it that made this miracle, or reverse heart disease over here? That we will need a lot more to find out. But what is it that gets people to live long, healthy lives? What makes someone live to be 100? What is the magic that is there? So this is what basically from the Blue Zones project that Dan Butler and others have come to, said predominantly a plant-based diet, wholesome plant-based diet, physical activity, belonging to a faith-based organization or having that faith-based relationship and with each other and with God, having a purpose in life. In the island of Okinawa, the term for having a purpose in life is translated as ikigai. What is the reason for you to wake up in the morning? If you have a purpose, then that adds a good 7 more years of health in your life. And then they had various ways of addressing stress, whether it was napping. The Icarians did not have times or clocks. They went as per their schedule. They would party late it's totally different from what you could think of. They would, as families get together, and they would dance and have a party late into the night, wake up late in the morning, sleep whenever they want. If you invite someone for breakfast, if they land up for dinner, there's no hassles. That is their life. Okay, so this is how they looked at it. Then they needed friends and family, social integration, very, very important. Okay, so we're just going to go back to this. Can we peel off the layers of time that we have on us and reverse our aging? No, we could stop where we are. We could add quality of life or quality to our lives. No, we're saying adding years to life, but okay, we can also add life to years. No, do I need to party? Not really. Let's just see what the evidence is there to show that lifestyle medicine actually works. Can we reverse diabetes? Can we reverse heart disease? Can we reverse hypertension? Let's just jump to that a little bit. Okay. So looking at the evidence that we have, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition looked at the food that people ate and what was their risk of cardiovascular mortality. Those who had regular meat had very high, but as you went on to a plant-based or a vegan or vegetarian diets, there was a risk reduction of more than 34%. With a very, showing that being a vegetarian had an odds ratio of 0.7, very protective. Those with plant-based diets generally experienced good health. They had lower prevalence of obesity, hypertension, if you could look at the Adventist Health Study and a few others. And if you could also look at the studies by Dean Ornish and the Blue Zone projects, a lot more have come on, which show that a plant-based diet is different from a vegan diet and a vegetarian diet. Okay, a plant-based diet is basically that what we eat is generally wholesome food, not refined. An occasional piece of fish or white meat in it, rather than having it 3 times a day, but you're just having one piece of fish or something per week, is what makes it plant-based. So generally speaking, in India, we don't eat meat 3 times a day, or we don't eat meat more than 30 grams in a week. So we generally are plant-based occasionally. So that being said, let us still move on ahead. We still have a few other categories to look at. The Mediterranean diet showed that there was a reduction in cholesterol and blood pressure just by modifying your diet, especially those with metabolic syndrome. More and more, when you look at it, they say that one of the most important indicators is how many steps you walk, or how much of physical activity you have in a day. So it says that if you have physical activity, the risks of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, premature mortality increases massively. So what is it? How do we deal with these conditions? So what do we do? How much of exercise do we need? Studies have shown those who were physically active in their teenage years had lower risks of Alzheimer's disease. Those who were physically active and did muscle building activities had lower risks of the NCDs that we are currently talking about. Generally, it is said that we need to have 30 minutes of exercise, or 10,000 steps, which is equal to 200 calories. You need to have good exercise. What is now looking at is, humans are not people supposed to be running on a treadmill continuously. You need to have this exercise spread over your 8 hours rather than in one shot. Intermittent bursts of activity. So you take 3 minutes and you do some exercise every hour or every 2 hours. It is equivalent, if not better, than doing 5 miles in the morning or 5 miles in the evening, because you need to have this activity spread out through the day. Is there a mind-body connection? Yes, there is. We have seen that those who have better exercise have lower anxiety. They think much better, and they're much more relaxed. So yes, your mind can heal your body, and your body can heal your mind. There is a connection. We've heard of psycho-neuro-immunology, and so many studies are being done now to look at this link. In fact, they say a study was done a few years back looking at influenza vaccine, at the time of influenza vaccine. If someone is very anxious and nervous, and you give that person the vaccine, and someone is happy and laughing and jolly, you give that person the vaccine, the antibodies are much lower in those who are anxious or grumpy, or for whatever reason at the time of vaccination. They did not develop adequate immunity. While if someone was happier, they had much better or much higher level of antibodies. So it is not just in isolation that you have to say, I'm getting the flu vaccine. Okay, you're going to go stand in line, get your COVID vaccine, but you need to smile, you need to be happy. You need to do all the other things that need to go, so that you have a good and a better immune response than what you would be actually saying that, okay, no, I'm so worried, I'm so stressed, and what's going to happen to you? You're not going to have a good immune response. So psycho-neuro-immunology is something which is now being looked on. And in fact, in personalized medicine, this is something that people are talking a little bit more on and individualizing it for people. Okay, so let's see whether there are any clinical trials to show that lifestyle medicine, we have evidence-based society. Medicine says we need evidence. So is there any clinical trials, gold standard, to show that lifestyle measures work? This is the diabetes risk reduction in a study which was done looking at diet and exercise and just metformin. And if you see, the response is huge. Over 10 years, the improvement in diabetic control is huge. Now, we all know that every medicine has its risk. In fact, many of us who took ranitidine for many years now would be actually playing, there was a risk with ranitidine. So why do we have to take medicines? Yes, I'm not saying that we don't need to take, when in emergency, yes, you need to take it. But if you have something which you can reverse, which you can do without even medicines, then we need to look at that option. So looking at another study, this is one of the biggest studies, and Dean Ornish is actually leading the charge on intensive therapeutic lifestyle change. He randomized 48 patients into two groups, a control group or standard of care, usual care control group, and a group which got the intensive lifestyle change, therapeutic lifestyle change. The therapeutic lifestyle change was 10% fat, whole foods, aerobic exercise, stress management, help making them stop smoking, and group psychological support for 5 years. Okay, this study is published in the JAMA. You can, in 1998, you can Google it, or you can go to your Google Scholar and check it over there. Okay, so what did he find? For 5 years, he had 48 people who were willing to do this, half the group, half on the side. Now, what did he find? Over 5 years, he found that the cardiac events in those who had coronary dropped, was drastically different between the intervention arm and the control arm. In fact, the whole coronary artery opened up in the intervention arm. While on the other hand, in the control arm, those who were getting standard of care, you had a much worse scenario. And the number of cardiac events was more than nearly double of what the first group had. So, okay, let's see. He did angiographies, and you can see here, this is what it was, and 5 years later, this is what it is. This is evidence. Okay, other studies are looking at loneliness, social integration, and with cardiac disease, we know lots of studies are showing it. So the more social relationships we have, the better we are. If we have poor social relationships, we have higher risks of whether it's heart disease, stroke, we have a higher risk for all of them. Okay, the Danish twin study also showed that it was lifestyle, not genes, which caused the problems. Many times we blame our genes. Oh, yes. But it is lifestyle more than genes, which caused the NCDs. So the evidence is there. So we need to decide and take it. Okay, so now going back to Dan Butler, what he said with the blue zones, he looked at various populations. You had the Okinawans, then you had the Icarians in Greece, the Sardina people in the Italian Alps, the Seventh-day Adventists in California. And what did he find was, there was one thing which was very common, which we had already mentioned. They all had a lifestyle where they chose to be healthy. They ate food which was wholesome. They had a lot of physical activity. They had a trust or a relationship with a higher God, a higher power, and they had a relationship with them. So how can I add years to my life? So in CMC Ludhiana, we have something called the Create Health, this one, based on the same principles. Health is choice. Sometimes you say, no, 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 I can't. But health is choice. Can you reverse lifestyle diseases? Can you reverse certain conditions? Can I choose not to do some things? How can I sleep? How do I eat right? So we call it create health. If you look at Proverbs, it says, this is the clue that we have, that this is what we need to follow. It says, give attention to my words. It's all there from the Bible. We're not taking anything out. It's all there from the Bible. Incline your ears to my sayings. Do not learn them. Do not depart from your eyes. Keep them in the midst of your heart, for they are life to those who find them and health to all their flesh. So what is it that we're looking at? How do we deal with it? So we all say, no, we're bound by our habits. Aadat se majboor. Are we really bound by our habits? Yes, we choose. It's a choice. How do we make our choice? Yeah, we sleep and then we sort of say that, okay, I need a pathway and let my pathway work. Okay, I want this and I do it without thinking. And yes, that is how I'm going to make my choice. I see a McDonald's, I have to stop. Oh, I can remember the tune. Or I see some pizza, this one, and I remember the tune. Or if we ask our students, okay, what does dar ke aage? Everyone knows what it is. So we sort of establish pathways in our system. But can we change it? Yes, we can. We need to find ways and the ability to change these pathways. So this is something that we need to look at. How do we establish good habits? How do we make the change? How long does it take to change? If you look at the food we eat, how sweet is it? Is the sweetness the same throughout? Or, how are we working on this sweetness? Do I need to have that extra salt? How do I make my food more tastier without, or how do I change my taste buds? These are some of the habits that we have to look at. We are a sleep deprived. We are sleeping less. We are sleeping late. We're sleeping at the wrong times. There's some people who, sleep when they feel like, yes. We have children and we teach them wrong. We say that you have to sleep 8 hours a day. No, children need to sleep 10, 12 hours a day. 2 hours in the afternoon, 10 hours in the night. But even teenagers up to the age of 16, 17 should be sleeping 10 hours a day. But we say, no, 8 hours a day. No, if you sleep more, you will get less marks. If you give them adequate sleep, they will get good marks. We should be able to look at that. So society is putting these restrictions on us, and we're putting these restrictions on sleep. So if we alter our sleep, we can actually reverse diseases. I had a patient who had come to me. She was trying to lose weight she was only 33 years with a blood pressure of 190 by 140 on 3 antihypertensives, underlying heart disease, nothing getting reversed, struggling away. Tried this diet, tried that diet, tried everything. Came to us. We looked at her sleep and her diet. We modified just a little bit of her, just changed her sleep timings, changed the way she slept, and changed the diet also. 2 weeks later, she was off. I mean, like she said, I'm feeling a little hype. My BP is dropping. What should I do? We said, just stop all your medicines. She currently, it is now 4 years. She's not on a single antihypertensive drug, just by adjusting her sleep and her lifestyle. So many times we underestimate how much the role of sleep with NCDs. And it's very important, more and more. In fact, maybe I can take a seminar sometime on sleep later. But this is another thing that we have to look at. How do we rest? In fact, our bodies, Dan Butler also talks of the Seventh-day Adventists in California. It is not genes. They're from all different ethnicities, but all living together with the same system, who believe in the 7th-day Sabbath and who have rest meaning rest is not just lying down, but cessation from the normal work, going out and doing something enjoyable. So that is also something that we have to look at. How do we use our time to build our bodies and build our relationships and allow our mind to relax and our mind to have a different communion away from the stress that we face every day. So this is what Dan Butler said. This allowed them to unplug from the worldly cares and have that, they called it a sanctuary in time. Okay, the food that we eat, how do we get it to be wholesome and nutritious? Yeah, we have a problem. Wholesome food is expensive. And many times, how does the poor look at it? In fact, now there are recommendations to the government of India to allow whole grains to be sold and millets to be sold. We earlier had jawar and bajra and all part of our staple, and it has been replaced by wheat. So how do we get in this, foods which are healthy and good for us, and don't make them to be expensive? This is what the plate of the Icarians look like: traditional, simple, straight from the field. Socrates said, "Let food be your medicine." So in lifestyle, what am I going to do? Is it just food, or is there something more? What do I have to do? Do I have a choice to look at it? This is something which, how do I get rid of this? I'm going to talk to you about another bottle, the less talked about pandemic. Every year in the US alone, close to 1 lakh people died due to excessive alcohol use. Every day, 650 people in India die due to excessive alcohol use. 1 lakh road traffic accidents are linked to alcohol use. 30,000 cancers are directly linked to alcohol use or excessive alcohol use. And 1.4 lakh liver cirrhosis in India are linked to alcohol use. We don't talk too much about this. It's commercially, or government-wise, it's something there. But we have to look at this and say, okay, this is another pandemic. How do we deal with this pandemic with so many deaths? What is it? If we just say that 2 points, if we save these lives, what's going to happen? How do we save these lives? Okay, so these are some of the things that are there that we have to look at. And the most important thing is our relationships. For you to adopt a healthy lifestyle, you can't do it in isolation. You need your family with you. You need to live in an ecosystem that makes healthy lifestyle possible. You need to have people who will link with you and people who talk the same with you. And as soon as you have these links, you have a good lifestyle. In fact, studies have shown that if you have a friend who's obese, most likely you would also become obese. And so how do we deal with it? What is it? How do we develop a healthy system? So Dan Butler said, if you take out culture, purpose of religion, long healthy lives just collapses. So John 10:10, I came that they may have life and may have it abundantly. Can we have life like Moriarty? How do we have our relationships? What is it that we get going? How do we, have these links? Not just in isolation. I need to have other people with me who want to live long, healthy lives. Other people who share my value system. We need to have that. We need to build communities everywhere, not in isolation. It's important, in business, they say if you have 5 friends, then this employee would, if an employee has 5 friends in the same organization, you would retain him. How do we have these links that people have 5 people so that we retain them in our organizations, in our community? How do we have 5 healthy people so that I would continue to be healthy? So it was just shown that if someone became if someone had a friend who was obese, the risk of becoming obese went up by 57%. Healthy habits can also be contagious. Let us share this. Like, this is a good contagion to have. How do we share health so that other people follow it? And then we have healthier societies. Hippocrates said, if we could give every individual the right amount of nutrition, exercise, not too little, not too much, we would have found the safest way to health. What I say, if you are able to crystallize that, then we would be a multi-billionaire. Everyone wants to know, what is that excelsior of life? How do we get this out? Not too much, not too little. How do we get this balance? I said, create health. I thrive. Okay, choices, rest, activity, trust in higher power, ecosystem of purpose. But no, we can't be I thrive only. We need to change it to we thrive. We need to thrive. We don't need to survive. We need to thrive in this system. Okay, so once again, Proverbs 4:20 to 22. Let's just remember this. And if there are any questions, I would like to take them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Clarence, for an extremely thought-provoking discussion and a very motivating talk for something that is of basic and crucial importance. Yeah, and at this time, I would like to invite our participants for their comments, for their questions, for their doubts to be cleared if they want to ask anything to Dr. Clarence.
Dr. Clarence, we have a question from one Miss Madhumita. So what is the right way to sleep? Quite an interesting question.
Yeah, sleep is something which we don't pay too much attention to. Sleep hygiene is something which we have to keep in mind. And what we have to remember is go back to a little physiology and look and see at what time of the day is most of our hormones, in the physiology textbook, at what time of the night are our hormones released, our main hormones. And it's between midnight and 3 a.m. And if we are awake at midnight, when we are supposed to have at least 2 cycles of REM, NAREM sleep, then we're going to have a lot more stresses. We're going to have a higher cortisol level and other things. So what is a good way to sleep is you need to have a cycle a system where you're winding down, and by 10:30, you should be ready to sleep. Or if you sleep earlier than that, great. But you should not be exposed to a lot of light, artificial light. When you sleeping with a night light is actually not very good because it depresses your melatonin secretion. You need to go into having something a little bit more darker. You need to look at, getting off your mobile devices. They have a lot more blue light. So blue light affects your sleep. So mobile phones, laptops, at least 1 hour before you sleep, you should keep away. So those of you who sort of, let me look at my last SMS and then sleep, you would not feel fresh when you wake up because you have not allowed your mind to relax, and those flashes keep coming through and stimulating your brain even when you should be in your REM sleep. So yeah, it's a long session. It's one whole session in itself, but I hope that suffices. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Actually, I have crystallized those words of yours that the sleep session would be a different one. So we'll be on it behind you.
Okay.
Yeah. So one more question. So this is a maddening world, especially as a medical student. I have so much work to put in, and I'm not able to concentrate on food. I'm not able to concentrate on the right exercise and rest and stuff like that. And apart from that, I do have a lot of stress in campus, academic, relational, etc. So you spoke about ikigai. So how do I attain my ikigai being a medical student?
Each of us has to find our own ikigai. So, what is my purpose for existence? Um, so the Okinawans say, okay, there was this 120-year-old grandmother. Her ikigai was waking up for her great grandchild. As a medical student, my ikigai right now would be to learn the most. It's not marks and trying to pass, but learn the most, achieve the most in what I can. But how do I achieve that? How do I get my ikigai? It's a very interesting question because, rather than putting more strain and stress on me and on me trying to learn something over there, I should be able to de-stress so that I learn better. I need to make an environment that allows me to learn. There are some of us, we do know students. There's some students who can give you orally excellent answers. But you ask this poor guy to write a paper and he gets all nervous and his paper is filled with sweat. So as academicians, we need to be able to identify the learning styles of our students and sort of support them and help them find, the way to overcome their problems. Everyone has problems. I can't walk in someone else's shoes, but yes, how is it that I can tackle this current situation? So that is one thing as academicians. As a person who is looking for our ikigai, we need to find. In fact, there's a brilliant book called Give and Take. You can read about that. Many times there are people who like to give. So how do they are they worried about when they give so much that they don't get anything? It's very interesting to see. You need to be able to volunteer time out to help someone else. In the end, you end up helping yourself. So if you're very stressed out, try to help someone, and in the end, so that will help you crystallize your ideas and your doubts. So if you want to learn something, teach it. If you want to learn something, teach it. So that is what I would advise this medical student. Don't stress out too much. Don't try to say that I'm going to learn all of medicine. It's more of concepts that you need to get now. And then if you have friends who are willing to listen, take a class for them. That will help you to clear your doubts. And that's all going into academic fall apart. But yes, so don't stress yourself out saying that where I need to go searching for my ikigai. The present is your ikigai. Go with it now.
Thank you, sir. I think that was quite interesting. Just like we say, a fish can't climb a palm. We need to find our own strengths and we need to back ourselves up. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. One more question is, this is coming through WhatsApp. How do I manage peer pressure when it comes to binge eating and having junk food? Does that not alter my whole system? From what you spoke, I think it's quite bad. So how do I handle it, sir? Again, from one of our students.
Binge eating, very interesting question. Thank you. Well, peer pressure is something, we don't want to stand out many times. In fact, Sir would, Dr. Benjamin would also know, when we would have department get-togethers, I would not want to eat the carbohydrates over there. I'd say, no, I'm currently there and I don't want to go on to this. But it's a trade-off that you will actually have to make because it's a choice. Again, it's your choice. But if you are convinced that this is something which is good for me, then you should be able to tell the others that, yes, I mean, I respect your decisions, but please respect mine as well. So we need to learn how to handle that peer pressure, saying that, okay, I'm not being dogmatic and I'm not being, very fundamentalistic with my this one. I'm not trying to put you down, but I respect your choice, you respect mine. Binge eating, that needs a little bit more. That needs a little bit more counseling and other sessions. But more on the peer pressure is what I've addressed. Binge eating, you would actually say that, no, I've starved myself. Now I want to binge eat. Don't go on to that. This one. Everything in life, moderation. Not too much, not too little. There are people who have told that, just for the sake of joining someone to eat junk food, I make a healthy junk food. I make a vegan or a plant-based. There's a person who made zucchini pasta because everyone wanted to eat pasta. He said, okay, I'll make zucchini. It looks like pastas. Someone did not want to eat rice. He made cauliflower. When you take off the florets, it looks like rice. So he said, okay, just to keep the others happy, I'm showing someone that I'm eating rice. Okay, so you'll have to do some modifications to this, but don't stress out. This too will pass.
Thank you, sir. Those were wise words. In fact, your last slide shows us how a person is riding on his broccoli. Hey, all these cruciferous vegetables come in really crucial for the detoxification part, right? So, yeah, thank you for that, sir. And one of our students have asked how to concentrate in studies and not get worried about some incident that happened prior to this. Even if it as small as a conversation gone wrong. Looks like a very personal question. So yeah, over to you, sir.
Yes, each of us is different how we deal with situations. And, some people are there who can switch from one situation to the other without linking the others. More often than not, we have to understand, try, or, even I'm learning. Everyone has to learn how not to take things personally. Let me just ask you, who is shouted at the most in a football match? Who gets all the boos and everything? Is it the best player, or is it the umpire or the referee? Are you blind? Did you see this? It's always the referee. But are referees someone who gets, that person shouted at me and gets so worked about that? No, they move on. So we in life need to learn how to become referees. When someone tells us something, we should be able to listen to it and say, okay, he's saying it, he's saying it, but it doesn't affect me. That is something we have to learn. It's a process. It's not something that happens over this one. But sometimes we need to say, if someone is telling me something and I'm really getting upset about it, is there some truth to it? If there is no truth to it, then don't bother. Someone tells you the sky is blue, we know it is blue. But if someone tells you the sky is green, then you say, no, it doesn't make any sense. Ignore it. The same way, when someone tells you something which you think is untrue and is not relevant to you, ignore it.
Absolutely, sir. We, even as teachers, even as elders, we tend to struggle in that space. So that's again distilled wisdom coming across from you. Thank you so much, sir. And
lifestyle medicine questions.
Yeah, people are more going into the mental and spiritual part of it.
Okay.
Any more questions, guys? We are waiting for you. You can either come on the chat box or you can come on the Q&A box. These are precious minutes which you can utilize. Oh yeah, now we've got one more question. So this is about multivitamins and syrups. It has become a run of the mill for people to just um, hop into a pharmacy and get a cartload of vitamins. So what about it, sir? Is it healthy or do we avoid such stuff?
The what they call as nutraceuticals, the nutraceuticals. It's not pharmaceuticals, but nutraceuticals. All these, this extract, that extract. It's over a $9 billion industry just by itself. And if you can get the same thing available in your food, why do you want to pay money for it? You have a plate which is balanced, you have a plate which covers everything, then you don't need to go around for multivitamins. And if your food is healthy, it would provide you all the multivitamins that you require.
Thank you, sir. You spoke about hypertension. What about diabetes? Is that too reversible? Because we hear quite a lot about reversal of diabetes. Is that true, sir? Yet another question on WhatsApp.
Just a couple of months back, I had a 31-year-old call center executive, not call center, BPO, finance BPO with blood sugars of 400 plus on insulin. And he was, everyone's very worried. He was getting insulin twice a day, sugars were not coming under control. We managed his diet, we managed his sleep, and he's off everything. So yes, diabetes is reversible. We showed you heart disease was also reversible, but everything needs time. And we need to see if you're willing to give the time or not. In America, the biggest problem for lifestyle medicine was the insurance agency. Who's going to pay for it? Dean Ornish has been able to get lifestyle medicine covered under the intensive therapeutic lifestyle change is now covered under insurance. So in India, we need to actually look at certain things where health insurance would be able to cover these things and say, yes, we can reverse it. So many of it is driven by insurance. We should be able to see how we can help people without affecting them so much.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Anup is muted.
Do we have any more questions from participants? Any comments? Well, I must say that I am very gratified to see that Dr. Clarence is as svelte and as dapper as he was when he was a medical student. So obviously, he practices what he preaches and has been doing so. And he himself would be a good example of the fact that your lifestyle, your diet, and the way you live affects your health. And we've had a very interesting talk. And thank you, Dr. Clarence. We are extremely grateful to you that you have brought into focus various aspects of the way we live. In very plain and simple terms, you have explained this very important topic and the benefits that we have of lifestyle modification. We used to say that for all the non-communicable diseases or the lifestyle diseases that we have the concept of safe. Safe. Okay. S for stop smoking. A for stop alcohol, F for proper food, and that is what you have been talking about, and E for exercise, proper exercise. Uh, but another important thing that you have brought into focus in this talk is your spiritual health. The spiritual health, which influences the way you think, and it influences your mental health, which in turn uh, impacts on your bodily health also. And that is a very important aspect that you brought into focus. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anup sir, for that perspective. So since we are running out of time, I think we will wrap this session. If you have any more questions, you can WhatsApp me at 9894119472, and I would be glad to forward it to Dr. Clarence and get back answers for you. I repeat, 9894119472. So without much ado, let's call this session to wraps. Thank you so much, Dr. Clarence J. Samuel, sir. That was an amazing session. It was truly an eye-opener, and I think it will help all of us participating in this session to strike the right chord towards our Ikigai. And in spite of your busy schedule and amidst all that community work that you do in the amidst of the pandemic, it's a great honor to have you in our midst, sir, and it's a great privilege that you have taken this time off to share with us and to teach us how to reach a reassured and happy life. So thank you so much once again, Clarence J. Samuel, sir, Professor and Head, Community Medicine, CMC Ludhiana. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And our gratitude to Dr. Anup Benjamin, sir, too, ever smiling and full of energy. And thank you, sir, for that brilliant perspective that you threw in also. And we would love to follow the safe principles, of course. And as Clarence, sir, said, we would work our way towards our Ikigai. So until we meet you, that is on the 11th evening at 6 o'clock with a brilliant talk by Dr. Jajini Susan Verghese. She's a breast oncoplastic surgeon, PhD from Cambridge University, MRCS and FRCS. She's working right now in London, University College London. So she's coming on board to share her life's journey from a medical student to a breast reconstructive oncoplastic surgeon. Now, this will be on the 11th at 6 p.m. Looking forward to see you all fully in attendance. Bring on your friends, and let's have one more wonderful session just like this one. So until then, signing off from Believers Church Medical College, Dr. Jacob Jeshuran. Thank you so much. Have a pleasant evening. Thank you.